How do we end homelessness?
Social housing now.
How do we end homelessness?
Social housing now.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jesse Wegenast, and I am a pastor with a group called the 5 and 2 Ministries out in Abbotsford. I guess my role in the community of Abbotsford is sort of unique, as we're not a government-funded organization or anything like that. I'm very free to move between a lot of different factions in the city. Spent all morning at City Hall and then all afternoon down at a protest camp that has been going for about a year at a couple different sites. In Abbotsford, we have an ever-increasing homeless population. Right now, best guess estimates would be around 300 people are sleeping outside on any given night. And for those 300 people who are sleeping outside, we have 26 shelter beds. We have very woefully little in the way of social housing. A recent proposed project was put forward by BC Housing and Abbotsford Community Services to build a 20-unit single micro suite apartment for men who are homeless or who are at risk of homelessness, and it came with $2.2 million of capital investment to build the building, $250,000 a year from BC Housing Sustainable Funding, and our council decided that we did not want this in Abbotsford, and it was voted down after some fierce opposition from the Abbotsford Downtown Business Association. The climate around homelessness and housing in Abbotsford has really taken new shape over the past 18 months or so. Last June, as many of you may have heard, the city of Abbotsford, in retaliation for about a particular group of homeless men who refused to move from their roadside campsite, came down with a load of chicken manure, woke up the men, asked them to move down the road, and proceeded to spread about 400 square feet of chicken shit in their living room and bedroom. All three of these men I knew personally at the time and still know today. Two of them are still currently homeless, and the other one has found housing for now and will be out again in a couple months, and a couple months later we'll find it. So he's kind of starting the cycle. But even as that happened, Abbotsford was sort of forced to face the fact that there are homeless people living in our city, that there are people living in active addiction in our city, and these were facts that they had largely chosen to sweep under the rug for decades and decades in the past. Well, just to give you a little more of a picture of how far behind we are in Abbotsford, it wasn't until the end of last year that Abbotsford repealed its anti-harm reduction bylaw. So prior to, or it might have even been early this year, but prior to about 8 months ago, it was illegal to distribute clean needles so people can inject their drugs safely. It was illegal to distribute condoms. It was illegal to distribute glass pipes for safer smoking. And because of this, Abbotsford has, I believe it's currently the second highest hepatitis C rate in all of BC. So fine work, everybody. In the meantime, and in between time, actually I've worked with DJ on and off in the past. Abbotsford has on DJ and Pivot Legal Society brought forward a case against the city of Abbotsford, actually attacking their bylaws, which are similar to the ones in Vancouver that she cited. Good neighbor bylaws, parks bylaws, no camping bylaws, that sort of thing. Pivot Legal has attacked those as being unconstitutional, and they essentially regulate where you can stay and where you can sleep to the point that someone who is without a place to stay is not allowed to exist in your city. So obviously it's far more nuanced than that, but that's the thrust of the suit, and that will be going before the Supreme Court. We're still waiting to hear, but yeah, so that's one thing we're looking forward to, seeing something come out of. One of the projects in Abbotsford that has been discussed to start to address the issue of homelessness is a concept that they call Dignity Village. Essentially, it's modeled after a site in Portland where there's a particular piece of property set aside that is for people to come and camp on. So it's far more regulated, right? Because as long as something is illegal, it can't be regulated. So, homeless camps get messy, and rather than saying, clean up your mess, they have to come in and take it down because you can't regulate that which is illegal. So something that a Dignity Village type of space would take away is the legality issues and allow people to self-regulate the camp. And it's actually in Abbotsford gaining quite a bit of traction, and there's a lot of discussion around it, which is great that people are talking and thinking creatively, but it really is quite abysmal that our highest aspirations, or the highest aspirations of some in the community around social housing, is a piece of property beside the highway between Abbotsford and Mission in swampy area, that is viewed as our best, most feasible option, as opposed to sleeping under an overpass. So we're in some dire straits. But of course, like I said, there are about 300 people who are homeless in Abbotsford. So it's still, I almost don't like to say it, but it's not that huge of an issue yet. We're at the point in Abbotsford where our population is hovering right around 140,000, and it's one of the most rapidly growing cities in BC. And what we do over the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years will determine whether or not we see the growth in homelessness raising together with the growth of our city. And that's one thing that I'm very interested in, acquainting myself with literature and getting more well-versed myself into what sorts of things that cities can do to protect their low-income housing market and also create new social housing. In Abbotsford, we face a lot of the same situations as in Vancouver, different property management companies taking over apartment buildings that in the past had been options for people with criminal backgrounds or who were living on the street. But these management companies come in and they join the crime-free housing, which instantly keeps a good many people from accessing that housing. And they're doing some really shady things like requiring $200 refundable deposit for your application fee. So if you can't come up with $200, you can't even apply to enter the housing. So for myself, I've been trying very hard, especially over the past 6 or 7 months, to help a number of my friends who live outside access housing, and have been successful in a number of cases. But it's really evident that for a lot of people, it's been like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Every month, at the beginning and end of every month, I'm kind of running around collecting eviction notices, mediating with landlords, trying to chat everybody up and keep everything copacetic for 30 more days, so that whichever individual it happens to be gets 30 more days inside. But it's a completely unsustainable way of going about things. But in the meantime, like I said, some of these folks are, very vulnerable senior citizens, and I'm willing to work as hard as I can to help them stay housed. But it's very apparent that the idea of relying on market housing to provide suites for people who are living outside is not really a great solution. Like there are some very unique needs of an individual, like my friend, we'll call her Kate, 10 years homeless. She's 69 years old, was hit by a vehicle, reconstructive surgery on her knee, and had to move. I asked her one day, so, Kate, do you think you might want to move inside? Well, you have to stay off your feet. Her eyes kind of light up. She goes, yes, if we can make it happen. And she's really motivated, and she's getting in touch with her family, and she's getting on to the methadose program, and she moves in, and things go great for about 2 months, and then she's in a 55 plus place. So everybody has eyes on her and has nothing else to do but watch her odd hours of coming and going, and it's a really difficult transition for her, and we don't have any supports for people to help them go through that. So relying on market housing to address the whole of the housing crisis is an absolutely ridiculous claim. I guess I'll.
Thank you.
Yeah.